see meme stock mania taking over again, led by GameStop and AMC, I need to remind you that this is irrational. There's no way these stocks should reach such elevated levels on their own. At one point today, GameStop had a market capitalization of nearly $20 billion, though it finished lower, just under $15 billion. But people were buying or selling millions of shares at those exalted levels. Was GameStop worth almost $20 billion? At the end of the day, it's worth what buyers will pay for it. I accept that. However, I prefer to be a little more rigorous than that because I want something with staying power. The best way to figure out what a company might be worth is to compare it to another company in the same industry. For GameStop, I think the closest compare is Best Buy, another electronics chain with lots of gaming exposure, and one that has a $16 billion market capitalization at the moment, not that much higher than GameStop did for today's ridiculous run. How do they stack up? Let's use the last 4 years. In the last few, that period's a very good game. GameStop revenues have bounced between $5 and $6 billion. Best Buy, meanwhile, did $43.5 billion in sales this year, almost an order of magnitude higher. How about earnings? After losing mountains of money from 2020 through 2022, GameStop made about $17 million last year. That's an M. By contrast, even though Best Buy's earnings have been on the decline, it still made $1.4 billion last year. Billion with big. You could argue that GameStop's on the upswing while Best Buy's seen its profit go lower. But if they have roughly the same market capitalization, an electronics retailer that's making $1.4 billion should be worth a lot more than a gaming retailer that's making $17 million, don't you think? Hey, don't forget that Best Buy pays a generous dividend with a 5% yield at these levels, while GameStop pays no dividend. Altogether, I don't see how these two companies that do roughly the same thing can be worth roughly the same price. According to Wall Street, Best Buy's numbers are so much higher. I'd love to tell you it's radically undervalued because we own this one for the Charitable Trust, but at best I can just say Best Buy is too cheap. Well, how about the possibility that GameStop can't be judged by its current state? Instead, we need to think about how the company can reinvent itself by selling stock here. Well, let's say they can sell $1 billion worth of stock, something I think the SEC would actually probably let happen because they don't seem to care either way. If GameStop had an extra $1 billion, it could get out of some bad leases, maybe makes a little more money. Maybe it can use the stock to make an acquisition. Have them go buy Best Buy, for heaven's sake. GameStop's market capitalization was well above it at one time, but I don't think any potential takeover candidate would be willing to accept a stock deal if GameStop's at these levels. Even if they did, it would crush the stock, and the short sellers who currently are being crushed would make out like bandits. Those who own it would have egg all over their faces, as the stock would be obliterated if GameStop did a gigantic offering to pay for a transformational acquisition, because that's what it needs, as the current business is dying. So the most obvious comparison says GameStop's overvalued. The company's been reluctant to change its stripes, and it can't use its stock to buy someone else without ruining the shortbuster thesis that got it here. I just can't get 64, or I can't even get the 44 for that matter. In short, when I see this running GameStop, the responsible move is simply to say, sell, sell, sell.
Well, it looks like GameStop closed at 22.12. And if we take a look at a daily chart here, there was a short squeeze, a massive short squeeze all the way to 64.83. This was last week, May 14th. And I think a lot of people thought this can continue to go higher, just like it did before. But no, it sold off. And then we see this gap getting filled. It gapped up and it finally got filled just 4 days later. Just be very careful because this stock went to a low of $9.95. So we have some news here. We have here, RFK Jr. announces GameStop stock purchase on X accounts. My administration will support the ape retail rebellion. But the thing is, he only bought $24,000 in GameStop shares. That's it. Just be very careful because these call options can either make you a lot of money or go to zero. The 22 strike has 11,000 volume traded. In the 25 strike, 12,000 volume traded. So the good thing about GameStop is you cannot buy GameStop on margin. If it drops, you only lose what you put in. That's the good thing about it. Let me know, guys. Are you making money with GameStop or any of the meme stocks? And thanks for watching.